guys, welcome back to the channel. In the last video, we talked about micronutrients, what they are, and why they're important. If you haven't watched that video yet, I recommend starting with that video before you watch this one. I will link that video in the description for this one. In today's video, we're going to talk more about the key micronutrients that you want to pay closer attention to. Remember that micronutrients are nutrients that your body needs in small amounts, but they are still essential. This video is going to focus more on micronutrients that are needed primarily by those that are on a plant-based diet. Don't disappear yet if you are not on a plant-based diet. Micronutrient deficiencies are not exclusive to those that are on a plant-based diet. In fact, people on all sorts of diets, if they are not getting a balanced diet, can experience micronutrient deficiencies. Stick around to find out what nutrients most people, regardless of their diet type, should be paying closer attention to. Let's get started. Starting off with vitamins, let's talk about vitamin B12. Vitamin B12 is essential for nerve function, red blood cell formation, and DNA synthesis. For those that are eating a plant-based diet, they will only encounter B12 in their diet through foods that are fortified in B12. B12 is not naturally present in plant-based foods, and those that are on a plant-based diet, as well as older adults who do need more B12 in their diet, should make sure that they either have a really reliable intake from fortified foods or preferably supplementation to make sure that they are getting adequate amounts of B12. Vitamin B12 deficiency is very serious, and both of those on a plant-based diet as well as older adults are at greater risk of deficiency. Now let's move on to vitamin D. Vitamin D supports calcium absorption, bone health, immune function, and muscle strength. Vitamin D is a nutrient that most of us should be paying attention to, plant-based or not, because it is found naturally in very few foods, plant-based or otherwise. Some foods are fortified with vitamin D, but it's still something that is really important for people who are both plant-based or not to pay close attention to. Beyond our diet, vitamin D can come from exposure to the sun. When you spend time outdoors under a sunny sky, the sun exposure is going to cause your skin to synthesize vitamin D. How much time you need to spend outside depends on your skin tone. People that have darker toned skin are going to need more exposure to the sun in order to be able to produce enough vitamin D to meet their needs. Also, people that are living in northern latitudes, like here in the United States, during the winter are going to find it almost impossible to be able to get enough sun exposure in order to produce sufficient vitamin D. Therefore, to ensure that you are getting enough vitamin D, if you're unable to spend at least a little bit of time outdoors every day, make sure that you are either regularly consuming foods that are fortified with vitamin D or that you are taking a vitamin D supplement. There are obviously many other essential vitamins, but these are the only ones I'm going to focus on in this video because these are the essential vitamins that are important for plant-based eaters to pay attention to. And eating an abundance of vitamin-rich fruits and vegetables, the typical person on a plant-based diet doesn't have to worry too much about making sure that they are meeting their nutritional needs for other vitamins. Now moving on to minerals. Let's start with calcium. Calcium is critical for bone strength, but it's also important for muscle contraction as well as nerve signaling. Among plant foods, calcium often comes from greens, tofu, nuts and seeds, as well as calcium fortified foods such as plant milks. Note that calcium needs increase as you age, and therefore both plant-based eaters as well as those that are older than 50 should be attentive to their calcium intake to ensure that they are getting adequate calcium. Now let's talk about iodine. Some of you may have never heard of it, and those of you that have will probably have heard of it from seeing iodized table salt on your table. You may not know that the reason that we add iodine to our table salt is because iodine deficiency, though still a pretty common deficiency, was once so common that it led to people developing really large goiters on their thyroid glands when those glands stopped functioning properly. Iodine is essential for thyroid hormone production and for metabolic regulation. This is another nutrient that everyone should pay attention to because it isn't found in a lot of food sources. It's found in some sea vegetables, iodized table salts, and that's it. For most people, the easiest way that you can ensure that you're getting enough iodine is by using iodized table salt. But keep in mind that you want to make sure you're not going overboard on your sodium consumption. Alternatively, for those that would prefer to avoid adding additional sodium to their diet, you can always supplement iodine. So far we have talked about vitamins B12 and D and calcium and iodine. I'm going to split this video in half and talk about the other core micronutrients that you should pay attention to in the next video. Keep in mind that there are some individuals that might need more of some micronutrients than others. Children, older people, and menstruating, pregnant, or lactating women are all individuals that have different micronutrient needs. My suggestion to all of you, plant-based or not, and wondering how you can know if you're getting enough of the essential micronutrients in your diet, there's at least one helpful tool that I recommend to my clients. When I want to see if I am getting enough of my core micronutrients, I will track what I am eating for a couple of days in Chronometer. You include what you're eating as well as any supplements that you might be taking, and it's going to estimate for you how much of each micronutrient you are getting. If you track what you're eating for a couple of days, it should help you to get a pretty decent picture of the nutrients that you're getting enough of and what nutrients you might need to pay closer attention to. If you'd like to learn more about micronutrients, in the description for this video, you'll find a link to a chart that highlights the essential micronutrients. As a final note, if you think that you might need to improve your micronutrient intake, my first recommendation, with the exception of B12, is to turn to your diet before turning to supplements. Most of your essential micronutrients can be found in your diet if you eat a balanced diet full of nutrient-rich foods. These micronutrients don't necessarily require supplementation, and it's generally preferable to get your nutrients from your food rather than supplements whenever possible. As always, thank you for watching. Be sure to eat lots of micronutrient-rich fruits and vegetables, and have a good one. See you in the next video. Bye!